I think the worst part about this whole thing is that I was out of state when it happened. So when I found out, I couldn't even be there to help or make sure my friend was okay. Thankfully, other people were able to be there to help, but I got the call at about 9 p.m. on a Friday night. Hey man, your friend is okay, but he was in a car accident. He was driving your truck and the truck rolled. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten a call like that before, but it's the worst feeling in the world. Your heart just stops and you just feel completely helpless. It's terrifying. The story goes, my friend was driving home down a highway when a car blew a stop sign and hit my truck on the passenger side right behind the rear tire. My friend was going about 40 miles an hour in, the speed limit. And we really don't know how fast the other car was going, but the impact was enough to spin the truck sideways. And there really isn't anything you can do when your car is sliding sideways on all four wheels. There was no controlling or recovering that spin out. So unfortunately, the truck skidded to the side of the road, hit the curb, and began to roll. The sideways momentum combined with the tires hitting the curb just caused the truck to roll over. And this was the driver's side too that hit the curb, by the way. So the truck had already spun 180 degrees at this point, and just on the other side of the sidewalk was a short block wall about 3 feet tall, which my truck also hit on the driver's side right behind the front tire and then caused the truck to roll. So now, not only was the truck spinning sideways, but it was also now rolling over as well. It's all very confusing to explain, but basically by the time the truck had came to a stop, it had rolled 3/4 of the way over and spun a full 360 degrees around. The truck was resting on the driver's side in the lane closest to the curb. I'm super thankful that the truck didn't cross over into oncoming traffic. That could have been much worse for everyone. So the car that hit my friend completely smashed in the front end of their car and came to a stop across the intersection. So thankfully, that driver was out of traffic. That car's airbag went off, but the driver was actually able to get out of their car and go over to my friend and make sure he was okay, which was cool. An absolutely terrifying experience that I hope no one ever experiences anything like that, but so glad my friend was okay. He walked away with some bruises and a slight concussion, but the whole experience is a huge testament to the safety of the F-150 and all Ford's vehicles, really. I am 100% convinced that my friend is alive today because of the amazing safety features in that F-150. So both side curtain airbags and the airbag located on the side of the driver's seat deployed, but not the steering wheel airbag, which makes sense because all the impacts were on the side of the truck. I'm really impressed that the safety sensors are smart enough to know which airbags to deploy, so good job, Ford. And thank God he was wearing a seatbelt, which no doubt also saved his life. I know people that don't wear seatbelts because they're uncomfortable or not cool, but damn, is it worth risking your life over? And those airbags saved my friend from hitting his head on the door or the window, which could have very likely killed or seriously injured him. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Ford. Your F-150 saved a life that day. I hope that someone from Ford Motor Company sees this video, or if you know someone that works at Ford, please share this video with them because I want to thank them and let them know that someone very close to me is still alive because of the work that they do and their trucks. So thank you, Ford. I'll be a Ford guy for life because of this. So after my friend realized he was in a rollover car accident, he knew he needed to get out of the vehicle. At this point, the alarm was going off, a voice was speaking through the speakers telling him that he had been in an accident. I'm sure he figured it out. He didn't even know if the truck was leaking fuel or was on fire, but he knew he had to get out and get to a safe area. So thankfully, he was not harmed badly that he couldn't get out by himself. And since the truck was laying on its side, he couldn't get out through the side doors, not only because he was standing on one and the other was above his head, but both the doors were blocked by the side curtain airbags. So he considered kicking out the front windshield, but quickly realized that that shit is not as easy as it looks in the movies. But he did figure out that he could open the rear slider window and crawl out that way. So he moved to safety and emergency responders showed up pretty quick after that. So that was a very stressful night, being out of state and getting text messages and phone calls all throughout the night, but everything got handled and my friend was well taken care of. I'm happy to report that he is recovered and he's doing very well. I still think that he needs to buy a Ford or get an F-150 tattoo or something like that. So now that I knew that my friend was okay, I had to figure out what to do about my truck. I had never dealt with a totaled vehicle or a vehicle that had been towed away before. But the first step was to find out which impound lot the truck went to. So once I figured that out, I arrived and I knew that it would be bad, but seeing the truck in person was pretty shocking. First thing the guy at the impound lot said was, "Damn, I'm glad your friend is okay. Usually when we see wrecks this bad, the people didn't make it." So that's another testament to Ford right there. But yeah, the damage was crazy. All the windows were broken, the mirror was dangling, glass everywhere, the door was smashed in. You could see scrapes made on the body panels from where the truck had slid on the asphalt. The tires were flat, the bed was pretty banged up too. Now, keep in mind, this year F-150 2016 has an aluminum body, and naturally it's not as rigid as steel, but for aluminum, I thought it held up pretty well. You could clearly see on the passenger rear where the car hit the truck, completely smashed in. With the bed being the lightest part of the truck and hitting right behind the rear wheel, it's no surprise really that the truck spin around and flipped like it did. There's just no weight back there. On the driver's side, you can see where the truck hit the retaining wall, completely crunched in. But honestly, I was impressed how well the aluminum held up and that the cab was not crushed in more from being in a rollover. The front windshield was completely destroyed with a big hole in the middle. The tires were popped and the rims were scraped up and actually had chunks of concrete in them from the sidewalk. The rear bumper got peeled back. The whole truck was just a mess. And inside was just as bad. Everything that was inside the truck got jumbled around. Floor mats, tools, and other things were all over the place. The entire cab was covered with tiny pieces of glass from the broken windows, and the dash looked like it exploded. The console and trim pieces were all out of place and just hanging by wires. It was a pretty sad sight, to be honest, but once I gathered all my stuff, the next step was to call my insurance company. My insurance company actually treated me pretty well. They were able to get me a rental car for a short time at least, and got my truck to a repair shop for a repair estimate pretty quick. So they deemed the truck totaled, obviously, and said the truck wasn't worth fixing and they were just gonna give me a settlement check. This was the most frustrating part because their first offer was about $15,000 less than what the truck was worth. I had to explain to them that my truck was a higher trim level than what they quoted and had a bunch of accessories like the tow package, the touchscreen display, the backup camera, parking sensors, power rear windows, all that stuff. Not to mention all the upgrades that I put on it. It just blows my mind that I had to explain all this to the insurance company and fight for it. They couldn't just look up the VIN and see what model and trim my truck was. But after a few weeks of going back and forth on prices and sending them comparable F-150 for sale ads from AutoTrader, OfferUp, Craigslist, they finally got me a fair settlement to replace my truck. So if you guys are ever dealing with an insurance company about a vehicle claim settlement, never settle for the first number they give you. Know that they are going to lowball you. Know that you can negotiate and get a fair price. These insurance companies just want to settle the claim as quickly as possible and make you go away. So be patient and don't settle too quickly. It's actually to your advantage to take your time and not rush to settle. You only get one shot, so make sure you get what's fair. So now that I settled with the insurance company, it was time to get a new truck. Now, I had only had my F-150 for about a year before it got wrecked, so I just went through the whole buying process and spent months doing truck research and shopping. And after all that research, I decided to go with the F-150. Before that, I had a Silverado, but had changed to Team Ford. So this was my chance to change my mind if I wanted to go back to Team Chevy or to get a different type of truck. Did I even want a truck? Should I get an SUV or a sports car? And I decided I'm an F-150 guy through and through. 1000%. I love that F-150 so much and was very happy with the truck. It just had so many features that other trucks didn't, and the performance specs like tow capacity, MPG, horsepower were second to none. I was very happy with my decision and didn't really want anything else. So I literally went out and bought the same exact truck, a white Super Crew 3.5 liter EcoBoost. But the only difference was that the new F-150 was a 2017, which was a year newer than the old one. And it had a 32-gallon tank instead of a 24, so upgrade. Now the second question was I happy with all the upgrades I made? Because this was my other second chance to do my upgrades differently if I wanted to. Did I want the same tires, the same wheels, the same decals, lights, etc.? And the answer was an absolutely yes. I also did a lot of research on these upgrades on the first truck to make sure I was choosing quality products that were reliable, added functionality, and looked good. So everything I added to the truck, I loved, so I decided to add them all to the new 2017 truck. At the end of the day, I was super happy with my original F-150, and all I wanted was to have my truck back again. So I bought the same truck and built it up the same exact way. And the beauty of it was that I bought 90% of those upgrades and those products on Amazon. So all I had to do was go into my order history and add those products back into my cart again. Super easy. And the fun part was it felt like Christmas. I had about $5,000 worth of upgrades shipped to my house all within a week, and I could install them all at once. Whereas before, I slowly upgraded one thing at a time because I had to decide which upgrade I wanted to do, decide which product to buy, and then budget for it. So that part was kind of fun, but a lot of work for 1 week. Most of you, I'm sure, can't tell the difference in my videos, which truck is the 2016 and which one is the 2017. Honestly, I'd be impressed if you could, because sometimes I can't even tell. But the two trucks are pretty much identical. If you want to see all the upgrades I made, you can find those in the description below. I'll drop links there for you guys to check out if you want those upgrades for yourselves. And by clicking on the link at the top, you can check out my F-150 30 plus easy upgrades video where I walk around my truck showing you guys all the upgrades I made to my F-150. And a lot of those upgrades can be made to other trucks and cars too. So click on this link to see that video. So I guess if there's one thing to take away from this video is that at the end of the day, things can be replaced. It's just a car, it's just a truck. That's why we have insurance. It's the things that can't be replaced that are truly important, like our friends, our family, our kids, our parents. So super thankful that everyone was able to walk away from this accident. Well, that's my story, guys. I've been waiting a long time to tell you, but it was worth the wait. I hope you found it interesting and inspiring, and at the very least, I hope it's a reminder that accidents can happen to anyone at any time, even if you are being careful, and how important it is to wear your seatbelt and not drive distracted. So drop a comment if you've had a similar experience, whether it was a car crash, dealing with an insurance company, or replacing a vehicle, and let me know what that experience was like for you guys. So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.